Alrighty, everyone. Good morning, and thank you for joining Luxent's webinar Ready, Set, NetSuite, a demonstration of NetSuite ERP. In today's webinar, we will give you a quick introduction of Luxent and NetSuite, followed by a demonstration of the powerful features that NetSuite has, and we will close out with an overview of NetSuite pricing and packaging. If you have any questions as we move throughout the demonstration, please put your questions in the Q&A panel, and we will do our best to answer them at the end of the webinar. With that, I would like to introduce you all to our NetSuite, to our Luxent team. Today we have Vivian Keena on the call, our president and CEO. Vivian has been in the ERP space for 20 plus years and knows the ins and outs of all things NetSuite. Next up, we have Ben Katerberg, the director of our NetSuite practice and chief solution architect. Ben comes to us with 10 plus years of ERP experience and a wealth of industry knowledge and best practices. And finally, myself, Brooke Geipus, the Director of Marketing here at Luxent. With that, I'd like to pass you guys over to Vivian.
Great, thanks, Brooke. You can go to the next slide. Just a quick intro. Thank you guys for all attending today. Just a quick introduction on Luxent. We've been around we're celebrating our 14th year, so we've been around for a while and located in the Southern California area. But have resources throughout the U.S. We're considered a premier solution partner, which really just means we do everything from help companies with the selection, trying to align their requirements to NetSuite as they purchase it, to help them with the implementation and then ongoing support and growing them. So a full partner that can do all pieces for you. We have a deep bench of consultants, both on the NetSuite product and business. We do a lot of the business pieces where we'll help companies to optimize their business before we actually start the implementation. So we really try to help them both from the business and the consulting side, NetSuite side. Certified cloud partner, which really means we're building applications on the platform. We have a nice development team that we handle all the integrations ourselves and build extensions to the product. And then we really focus on the startup and mid-market size companies. Manufacturing distribution has been our specialty since the beginning, and service and software we added midway through. So we've been around and experienced in many of the different verticals that I think all of you are in. So here's just a list of just some of our customers. We have a couple hundred customers that we service, but these are some of the ones in the food and beverage industry that you might know. Many of those names I'm sure are familiar to you. And that's it. Just a quick introduction. I'll be able to talk a little bit more at the end and talk to you a little bit about the pricing of NetSuite. But for now, we'll introduce Ben Katerberg, our chief solution architect, and he'll give you the demo of NetSuite. Thank you.
Thanks, Vivian. Good afternoon and good morning to everybody on the call here today. I just want to talk briefly about NetSuite, kind of high level, and then we'll get into some of the weeds and obviously eventually this demonstration that we've prepared for you today. So NetSuite by the numbers, really what I want to kind of highlight here is NetSuite was built from the beginning on the cloud for the cloud. It was the first cloud ERP system that started off in the late 90s. And it's been growing at a dramatic pace here. It's in 217 countries and territories. There are over 36,000 customers around the world, and just showing kind of that growth trajectory. Over 6,000 of those 36,000 customers are just within the last 12 months. As far as kind of industries and verticals supported by NetSuite, this is really just kind of speaking to the multifaceted kind of solution that NetSuite provides. So whether you're in manufacturing, distribution, retail, or even you're kind of multi-channel and you fit kind of between some of these or within multiple, NetSuite has the ability to grow and scale and support your solution all on one platform. Some of the specific kind of industries we did call out here, obviously we talked about manufacturing, wholesale distribution, retail, but these kind of industry specific solutions, NetSuite has developed some tools, and these tools are pre-configuration that comes along with your NetSuite solution when you buy it right on day one. So some of those tools that we've called out here is key performance indicators, some of the dashboards that I'll show you in just a minute, pre-configured roles, and some workflows. There's a whole bunch of pre-configuration that comes with your specific NetSuite solution based on industry best practices. So you're not having to implement a brand new ERP from scratch, trying to think what might a supply chain manager need for their configured role. We're already delivering most of the pre-configuration for you. And so the implementation phase itself is really just a lot of minor tweaking. And then obviously NetSuite ERP will be your single source of truth, but it is modular in nature. So you might not have to purchase every single module right up front. Maybe you start with financials if you want to kind of start out initially with that financial source of truth, and then start building out inventory management, human resources, e-commerce platforms. There's lots of other modules you can continue to add and grow along with your business. So NetSuite was designed initially as a financials system first. And so there are many, many rich financial features specifically in NetSuite. And it all kind of centralizes on the kind of standard finance and accounting functions, as well as the financial reporting. But then obviously, depending on your specific business and needs, there are more complex billing features and functionality. There's more financial planning and analysis tools, revenue management, and a lot of consolidation tools, especially as you grow and scale more on a global scale. Some of the other ERP features outside of core financials, these are some of the different modules that I was referring to. So there is procurement modules, there's warehouse management features, supply chain management, there is project management, and your CRM features as well. Once again, these aren't an exhaustive list of all features in NetSuite, but these are other modules that you can select and grow alongside your business, even if you don't start with all of these on day one. So in just a minute here, I'm going to open up a NetSuite demo account. And this is kind of the general process flow that I'd like to run through with you all. First and foremost, we're going to be focused in on planning parameters and having system-generated recommendations for planning. Those system recommendations are going to allow us to generate purchase orders and work orders from those recommendations. We'll then be able to receive inventory for raw materials, and then we'll be able to build our work orders that are planned in advance, as well as actually fulfilling and shipping customer orders based on what was built and available. Right. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right. So the first thing you should all see here is the main view I have is what's called a dashboard in NetSuite. I am logged in currently as a controller user, and this controller role has already been configured in what you're seeing in front of you in the form of this dashboard. This dashboard already comes with your purchase NetSuite account from day one. Just some of the underlying data obviously is being triggered based on specific transactions and financials that have been added to this specific demo account. So the first thing you'll see here is there's a URL address. NetSuite is in the cloud, on the web. You just go to netsuite.com, enter your login credentials, and this is the landing page it takes you to. We have all of these different center tabs are what they're called, and I'm just hovering over some of these. The center tabs are all going to be specific to the roles that you're logged into. So in this case, the controller has access to billing information, customers, vendors, payroll and HR, financials, reporting, and some of the analytics and administrative kind of functions. You don't necessarily have to navigate from center tabs because the roles also come pre-configured with these shortcut tiles and other types of shortcut URL links. So there's always more than one way to navigate to the same areas within NetSuite. It's just going to be up to kind of user preferences for their preferred way to navigate to their day-to-day transactions. What you'll see on the upper left-hand side of every role is going to be this reminders dashboard portlet. The reminders portlet is really designed for user workflow. This is the system informing my specific controller of things they need to pay attention to. So the very first thing I see on the top here is I have one bill to approve. I can click on that reminder, and it's going to take me to a list of all of the open vendor bills that have my name on them for approval. So I can see the whole list here. In this case, there's just one appearing, and I can go directly to that vendor bill and review all of the underlying data before I make my determination of whether or not to approve this bill. Some of the other kind of reminders on here, there are things associated with purchase orders, bills. I can even create individual tasks for some other users in the system. It doesn't always have to be specific transactions telling me to do something, but I can actually create my own reminders in the form of tasks and then assign them out to resources. And then I'll have on my reminder showing up X number of tasks to complete. So the reminders is a very, very powerful tool. And you can create your own reminders as well based on dynamic data queries. Some of these dashboard tiles here, you can see here's a quick link to a balance sheet, profit and loss. I'm just clicking on some of these here. And you'll note that these specific dashboard tiles are configured so that they open in a new tab. If you're like me and you'd like to do a lot of different things at once, you can have lots and lots of tabs open so you don't lose your place when you're working on one thing or the other. So I opened up here an income statement report from my dashboard tile. And this is, for the most part, the out-of-the-box income statement that is kind of segmented based on account types. You have the ability to do things like pivot by other segments in NetSuite. So I've created this product class that I have tagged to all of my item records. And so maybe I'd want to do an income statement by product class. Then I just flip my column to class, I refresh, and now I can see I have product class as columns on the top here. And now I can see revenue based on product class. So in this case, here's frozen foods. I have $2,971.50 for the current period of frozen food revenue. And if I did want to keep drilling down into this report, all I have to do is click onto the amount, and it's taking me into even further detail. So the sum of $2,971.50 of revenue for the current month is made up of all of these invoices. And even from here, I can continue to drill down all the way to the individual transaction record from NetSuite. So maybe I am planning to tag all of my items to a product class. So if I have a very large balance of revenue with no class, I can start drilling in and finding out why I have all this revenue not associated with a class. And ultimately, it might be a master data issue. So that's why, just from that audit control standpoint, I can see how data is set up, how it flows into my financial reports, and it allows me to do a lot of root cause analysis. Right, let me pivot over to my balance sheet report. So once again, this is mostly the out-of-the-box balance sheet report as designed based on my different account groupings. I can do some of these kinds of pivots, like maybe a balance sheet by location. In this case here, you'll see I have a Boston location, a contract manufacturer, Denver, a couple of these, even outside roaster virtual locations. This is very handy if I have any outsourced activity. So perhaps I am a coffee roaster and I outsource some of my raw beans to a third party to roast some of the blends for me. And so I send my own inventory out to other locations, and then I have visibility in NetSuite to my asset values in even virtual locations. And once again, same features and functionality here. I have the ability to drill into the underlying numbers, and it will take me into individual transaction level details within my financial reports. And keep in mind too, this is all real time. So I can create a brand new posting to, in this case, my US checking account. I can hit my checking account with a financial transaction right now, and it'll immediately show up in my financial report, and I can drill down all the way to the individual transactions. Some of the other features and capabilities on the reporting side are things like drill down, drill up kind of capabilities. So I can expand the nodes all the way down or up based on some of these quick options. I can export any one of my reports. So let's say I wanted to export this to Excel. I just click the button Export for Excel or Export PDF, export to CSV, Word, etc. So various kind of export options available here. I can print them, I can email them, I can even set these up to run on a schedule. So maybe I create my own kind of custom version of this report. I can have this run more than once on a schedule. So in this case, weekly, every Tuesday. I don't want it to run at 10 a.m. because the system's telling me 10 a.m. is peak hours. So maybe it runs every Tuesday at 4 in the morning, and I can specify my recipients, or I can even specify groups of individuals. So I can create groups in NetSuite, either dynamic or static groups, tag those groups to my scheduled report, and then everybody who's in the group at that time gets the report on the schedule. Let me pop into maybe one other role here. Production manager. Just to kind of show you a comparison. So the first role we looked at was a controller, more of a financial role. Here we're logged in as a production manager role. Got very different reminders here. So I've got reminders related to building work orders and assemblies. I've got dashboard links for mass creating work orders based on planning parameters. I can look at late work orders, a quick little link to some of the reporting on what's late at the moment as a production manager. I have very different KPIs. So on the controller side, most of my KPIs are going to be more related to financial analysis. But in this case, I have maybe inventory valuation of what's my inventory today versus the same day last month, or the number of late orders by vendor this month versus last month. And then I can call out specific KPIs here up at the top. This is all configurable. At any point, I can go into set up my KPI and I can change the range. Maybe I don't care about today. Maybe I care about other kind of date ranges here. You know, this month, maybe I want to look at the half or the quarter instead of a month. So I can just easily change these. Just real-time live as I'm interacting with the system. A lot of these other types of dashboard tiles and widgets can be graphical. So in this case, I have kind of scheduled orders to ship this week, and these are all different days. So here's 6 on the 19th, 6 on the 20th, and I've got 3 scheduled to ship today. And then I have other types of dynamic data lists, like here's all the work orders that are in process. So this is really just my main dashboard, but once again, I have all these center tabs. Every single one of these center tabs has its own underlying dashboard that's specific to, in this case, receiving. Right, so I have more kind of vendor performance details associated with my production manager role in the receiving overview. So obviously, what you can see here is there's lots of capabilities in NetSuite for reporting and dashboards and easy to see kind of data trends as part of the kind of out of the box pre-configured dashboards on day one. All right, so I'm going to jump into the kind of scenario I outlined earlier, and I'm just flipping over to an administrative role only because I'm going to be jumping in and out of a different features and functionality that are typically done by multiple individuals in different roles. So just to kind of set up what we want to look at today is I've configured some materials in a scenario based on orange juice. So I've got an orange juice 12-ounce bottle finished good. This is set up as a lot numbered assembly item. And my orange juice is made up of a bill of material that I'm going to be manufacturing. I have oranges. There is 3 oranges that goes into a single 12-ounce bottle. There is 9 ounces of filtered water. There is a single 12-ounce bottle, and then a 1/4 pound of sugar. I guess that's quite a bit of sugar. But in either case, I've got a pretty simple bill of material that I've configured for my 12-ounce bottle of orange juice. Finished good. The demand planning scenario that I want to set up as well is to make my finished good 12-ounce bottle of orange juice. My bottles, let's say maybe I buy these from overseas and it has a longer lead time. So I just want to maintain a certain stocking level of bottles. So that will be my independent demand. And then water, let's say I just set that up as, in this case, this is a non-inventory item, so I don't actually stock my filtered water. And then I have bulk granulated sugar and oranges that are both inventoried items. And these 2 items are going to be my dependent demand. So they're dependent in the sense that however many bottles of orange juice I'm projecting to make, demand planning should tell me how many oranges and how much sugar I need to meet that demand, versus the bottles are just kind of min-max stocking levels that I keep in my warehouse a certain amount at all times. So first thing I would do here in NetSuite is I can have NetSuite generate demand plans for me. It does have capabilities of looking at historical demand and making projections based on linear regression models or kind of moving average. But NetSuite does have the capability of generating demand plans for me. Otherwise, I can manually enter or import, or even set up a third-party integration with another planning system to bring in demand plans themselves. So in this case here, for my orange juice finished good in Boston location, I have a weekly demand plan I've set up, and I've just entered 400 bottles for next week, 500 bottles the week after that, 550 after that, etc. Right. The next thing that I do is I will have my MRP set up to run on a schedule, runs every single night on its own. And as the supply chain manager, I'm going to log in and I'm going to look at the results of MRP every single morning. And I may make adjustments, or I may accept what MRP is requesting that I perform based on kind of that daily update that it's performing. So here is my planning workbench here. Notice that I've got my kind of finished good orange juice 12-ounce bottles here on the top. I have oranges, which is one of my components of dependent demand. And then I have my sugar also listed as one of my dependent demand objects that's set up in MRP. Just another note, I don't see my bottle in here because my bottle is independent demand. It's not part of MRP, it's part of a stocking level. I also don't see my water, my filtered water, because the water portion I set up not as an inventoried item. So perhaps I just have a water filter and I get it from the tap running through my filter. So the first thing I may see here is actions. This is a hyperlink. I can click this, and this is the specific actions that MRP is requesting that I perform based on crunching all the numbers of how much I currently have in stock, what my demand is going to be, where the shortages are. In this case, my actions are specifically telling me that I should release a planned purchase order for oranges for 11/25. And I also need to consider releasing a planned purchase order for my sugar, also dated 11/25. And then I should also consider releasing a planned work order. That would be 2 days later. So that tells me there's probably a 2-day lead time for my oranges and sugar to then start manufacturing my orange juice 12-ounce bottle finished good. If at any point I want to determine how MRP came up with this, I can always go to my little supply tab here. And I can see, in this case, here's my planned purchase order for oranges. I can view pegging. I can see here it's suggesting that I purchase 100 oranges because I have 2 planned work orders. One of them will use 68 oranges to build 24 bottles. The other work order, I need 32 oranges because I had a shortage here that I'm manufacturing 492 bottles. And even beyond this, I can go all the way down to the individual demand plan for the finished good to see why it made the suggestion, all the way down to the demand plan, or rolling up to where the component is actually directly used as part of its dependent demand. I can see the same thing from the demand perspective as well. I can see the demand for oranges. And here's the supply. I have 26 oranges already on hand in inventory, and here's my purchase order for 46 more. So I can kind of see the demand and the supply side and the associated pegging back and forth. In this case here, I'm going to perform all actions. I want to release both purchase recommendations and my manufacturing work order recommendation to my supply chain team. Perform all actions here. So what's going to end up happening is on my supply chain manager's dashboard, they'll have a reminder. And the reminder is, the first one is I have items to order. This is procurement. Depending on what my planning method is, I might have those reorder points, which is that min-max kind of stocking level, or MRP in this case has planned orders. So as a supply chain manager, I may purchase some things that are planned by MRP. I may purchase some things that are planned by stocking levels. So I'll use all 4 of these potentially for sources for procurement. So here I am going to order. Got Frisco and Bull's Head Foods as my vendors. And you'll see here I'm ordering 6 pounds of sugar and 100 oranges from 2 different vendors. Here's my associated pricing that comes in that are defaulted on my item records. If these were the same vendor, what this functionality is going to do is it would consolidate all procurement of items from the same vendor on the same PO. But I do have 2 different vendors for these 2 different procurement needs. So when I do this, I submit it, it's going to create 2 separate purchase orders for me. The same thing is going to happen on the manufacturing planning side. I have an assemblies to order reminder. I can go to my planned orders, which is what MRP is suggesting. So somebody released this recommendation from the planning engine. So now I'm going to mass create all of my work orders based on the planning suggestions. So this is going to be a work order that I need to start on the 27th of the month. And it's going to end same time because it doesn't take me too long to make orange juice. If this was a more delicate process that takes several days, obviously all of those lead times, both on the procurement and the manufacturing side, would come into play for when to release and start some of these manufacturing operations. Right. It takes you to a bulk processing screen, both on the procurement side as well as our manufacturing side. That's just because I have the capability of releasing everything from the MRP workbench and then having my supply chain manager create lots and lots and lots of purchase orders all at once, or lots and lots and lots of work orders all at once. So here are my 2 POs. I did kind of override my approval, but obviously you have the capabilities of setting up approval processes for both your direct spend procurement as well as indirect spend. So here is my 100 oranges that I'm purchasing from Bull's Head Foods. At the transaction level, I also can see here allocated demand. So in this case, I have 68, a quantity of 68 out of these 100 have allocated demand. I'm just clicking on that hyperlink here. I can see here 68 of these oranges are allocated to this work order that hasn't been started yet. It's going to be started on the 27th. So already, I haven't even received these into inventory yet, but I have that full supply chain visibility to where this is going. So I can receive these into inventory. It's defaulting for me from the purchase order. There were 100 oranges that I'm to be receiving. I can specify my lot number for my oranges I'm receiving. So maybe it's something like 20, 23, 11, 21, batch 1. And these are good for, say, 2 weeks. And all 100 are on the same lot number. If I needed to receive 2 different lots, obviously I have those capabilities here as well. Then landed costs. Maybe there is landed costs associated with my oranges. So I have here the ability to add landed costs by weight, quantity, or value. So let's do quantity here. And I have 3 potential landed costs I have configured here: duty, freight, or import. So let's just say it was freight. $30 extra in freight. Save my receipt. And upon receipt, I can see there is a financial impact. The total cost of my regular inventory was $20, but it added an additional $30 for a sum total of $50 of inventory that's being added here. And you can see 30 out of those $50 are from my freight expense. So freight cost me more than the oranges themselves in this case. Right. Next, I'll show the work order here that we had generated. So you have lots of options in NetSuite for different statuses. You can have work orders generated in planned, unfirmed status. You can firm them up and then you can release them. In this case, I just have it configured so that work orders generated from supply planning just get generated in release status because I want inventory to commit to them if I have it available. And you can see here on this specific work order, I have 68 committed of 72. Once again, I have that supply allocation feature turned on, so I can see here 68 are allocated from inventory. I don't have all of the oranges I need because 4 of them are still pending receipt on this open purchase order that's to be received on the 26th. So once again, I have full visibility to the supply chain at the transaction level, either at the supply level or the demand level. Now, in this case, I did set up a prior work order with some existing inventory all ready to go. So I have a reminder here in this case for work orders to build. And here was my orange juice sample. So I needed to build a certain quantity of these in advance. And then I can see here I have some inventory already committed. So let's say maybe I'm going to do a partial. Maybe I'm going to build only a couple bottles because I see here I only have 8 2/3 bottles available to build at the moment. So let's just say I'm going to build 4 bottles. It's going to adjust the quantities of components based on my bill of material I have configured. And then because I'm in food and beverage and lot traceability is important to me, I need to specify this lot for these 12 oranges that I took from. I want to specify this lot of bottles. So I took 4 bottles out of this lot. And sugar. Only got 1 lot of sugar to choose from. So I'm going to take my 1 pound of sugar from that lot. And then I need to give my 4 bottles of 12-ounce orange juice a new lot. So 2023, 11, 21, 1. My bottles are good for, let's just say about 6 months. Right, so I'm adding 4 more bottles to inventory of this lot number of finished good. Right, and this is the financial transaction that actually converts my raw materials to finished goods stock of my beverage and mixer material. So this was just a partial build of a work order, but obviously I can configure this to only allow builds of full, complete work orders. The last thing I'm going to do here before we turn it back over to Vivian here is I have several orders that are in the system already for customers. So I already have some existing customer demand out here in my Boston location. So let me look up all sales orders in Boston where I have all the inventory I need to fulfill them. All right, so I have this Buzzy's Sandwiches customer with a sales order that was created today. So Buzzy's is ordering 24 bottles from me. I can see here on the allocated supply side, 24 quantity has been allocated and it's from inventory. So I have it in stock here right now today. I can ship this out the door today to the customer. So I can fulfill my sales order. I do have capabilities of FEFO rotation if I have expiring inventory. So it can already make a suggestion of what specific lots that I should be picking from the warehouse. Because I can have NetSuite generate a pick ticket for me and tell me to pick specific inventory. Just because we're a little short on time, I'm just going to jump ahead. I'm going to just do a fulfillment, just ship it out the door, but I do have picking, packing, and separate shipping processes for fulfillment. So I picked my specific lot of 24 bottles and saving this fulfillment. And once I save a fulfillment in a shipped status, that is the point where I'm actually hitting my cost of goods general ledger posting. And then my sales order, associated sales order, has a status that is pending billing. So then my AR team can run billing. Maybe they do it at the end of every day. In this case, I can just bill this individual order. And billing is, in this case, when I'm going to be recognizing my revenue. So they're paying $3 a bottle for 24 bottles, total of $72. My invoice for my customer now is in an open status, so I'm waiting on payment. But obviously here I can see this is where I'm actually hitting my sales revenue. And my sales revenue here is specific to my beverages product classification. So when I run my P&L report, I can see here, this is a source of revenue for November for my beverages class. And then the final thing here, lot traceability. So I ran this for my orange juice 12-ounce bottle for this specific lot. And I can see here, here's the component receipts. The original came from the work order because I built my 12-ounce bottles of orange juice. But then I can split it out further to say, here are all the PO receipts of all of the raw materials that went into this bottle of 12-ounce orange juice. Same thing on the production side. Obviously, I used this work order to build this lot of orange juice, but I can also trace the oranges or the bottle or the sugar. So I can trace kind of backwards and forward. And then I can see fulfillments. These are all the customers that I sent with these specific sales orders and fulfillment numbers and ship dates and quantities and delivery addresses of everywhere I sent this orange juice for this specific lot. And if you do have NetSuite's quality module, you also can see here the linkages of inspections and some of that detail associated with quality for that full lot traceability. All right, with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Vivian to talk a little bit about NetSuite pricing.
Great, thanks, Ben. Great demo. A lot of information there in, I think, 30, 40 minutes. So, and if anybody has any additional questions, which I'm sure you possibly do, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat or email us, and we'd be happy to get back with you. So quickly on the pricing, you know, working with a partner on the pricing, I can tell you is super important. One, for just having somebody who is looking out for you, who's trying to work with you to understand your requirements, to ensure you buy the right configuration and you don't overbuy. As Ben said at the beginning, you know, you don't have to buy everything all at once. You can start with the financials, get your feet wet, get the team knowledgeable on NetSuite, and then start to grow with it. You just want that person who's experienced at negotiating a contract for you and being aggressive to try to get you the best price. And if there's anybody who is interested and pricing and wants to get a price for themselves, please don't hesitate to reach out or call us. We're happy to get you pricing. I know a lot of companies are calling us right now to get pricing for next year. So we're happy to give you some budgetary pricing. Just we ask you a few questions and we can get that pricing for you. But we're looking for the long-term relationship with you. We're the same team that is going to be working with you at the beginning of the sales cycle, helping you select the software. Our team is going to be there for the implementation and ongoing support. So you have that continuity and that relationship throughout, and that team isn't changing. You can go to the next slide. So just when should you buy? You know, if your accounting requirements, if you're starting to get frustrated with the reporting needs that you're having, or you're not getting the information you need out of your accounting system, if you know, don't have the controls you need. You know, Ben showed a lot today on just being able to control and manage your inventory. And that is a lot, you know, where you start to just really need a system in place. If your legacy system is just too limited or getting expensive, or you're, you know, needing to upgrade it and those costs to upgrade are extensive, that's a time to look at NetSuite. And if you're just preparing for growth, I know a lot of companies are in startup mode and they need to be ready for that growth. They need to be ready for when, you know, they're getting the Amazon orders, or a big box company, they can get connected to some of the big box and be able to take those orders in effectively. And just expanding internationally. NetSuite can handle is capable of handling international requirements. And if you're starting to expand out, that's a good time to consider buying a solution like NetSuite. So let's go to the pricing. So what I will tell you is that, you know, I hear all the time NetSuite's very expensive. And NetSuite has done a very good job to repackage their product to really start to allow smaller companies and startups to take advantage of the functionality and in different types of modes. So they have broke it down into 3 different packages: a starter package, which is companies with under 10 users, and then the mid-market, which is 30 users and under, and then the Premier, which is over 30. So they really try to package it up so it's so you're allowed to be able to take advantage of it. The starting price for a user is $120. And I will tell you that is list price, and there's a lot of negotiation, a lot of discounting that goes on. So that's just the list price for a user. So you take your list price and then you take your modules that you need, and those together would make the cost of the application. And it is a subscription model, so it is a cost that is reoccurring. But I will tell you that we don't lose deals on price. So NetSuite really tries to make it work, and we try to get as aggressive as we can on the discounting so customers can get in and start to use the functionality within NetSuite. So give us a call. We'd be happy to put a quote together for you. Like I said, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes of just a few questions, and then we can put together a budgetary quote for 2024. With that, I will hand it back over to Brooke. And if there is any questions you guys have now, we have a few minutes left that we can answer them.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. If you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat now. With that, I would like to also note that we are going to be publishing a NetSuite pricing guide with all of the details that you would need to know about NetSuite pricing, how the modules are set up, what kind of modules you can see, different starter packages that are available, and how to purchase NetSuite through Luxent. So we are a NetSuite solution provider, and we can sell NetSuite ourselves to you, which is a great option to have someone negotiating on your behalf. So if you are interested in that pricing guide, please email sales@luxent.com or shoot myself an email, and we can get that over to you. Thank you all for attending the webinar. We will send up a follow-up recording that has, the recording for the webinar if you guys have any questions, and then we will also follow up via email to see if anybody would like to set up a one-on-one call with anybody on our team. All right, thank you everyone, and have a great day.